Episode 1-3, Prevelations podcast.
Whoop whoop.
We
There's some statistic that says you won't make it past 13, or a ton of people don't make it past 13.
So here we are, not making it past 13.
Making it past 13.
Well, we have to make a 14th for it to be past 13.
Shit.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are very close to going past some random statistic that we have no idea is true or not.
Tori,
where'd you learn that from? Today we're going to talk about. Well, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about strength training?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
In the group, like in group.
Okay. In group strength training, do you want to talk about group models? Do you want to talk about types of group training? Do you want to talk about model types of gyms? Do you want to talk about unique belief in fitnesses inside of group, or what group means?
Or like how there are different groups of things. They're not all the same.
Right.
Group fitness isn't all the same.
There we go. So that'll be the
Talk
little,
about that.
That'll be the little. Not all group fitness is the same.
Yes.
Not all group fitness is created equal.
Yes.
Right? And here's the why, and we'll go over a few things that kind of are the over-under on like different parts of what group is and is not. First thing, size of group. So there is I guess there's pretty much three big buckets, all right? You've got big group, big.
Which means like...
So that's going to be 24, 36, kind of like 25 plus people. That's pretty much the big bucket. That's your traditional F45, Orange Theory, boot camp, berries type of like
25 to 50. 25
to 50, kind of your that's generally more of that like aerobics class at a big like a big gym type of like room. That's big group.
Okay.
Then you have on the other side, you have personal training, which is one-on-one, and then you have what is traditionally called small group or semi-private.
Okay.
All right, and that's where you're at this like 1-4, 1-6 type ratio, right? And then you've got this middle world of this 10-20 per session. So you got these three windows. You've got like small, which is like a handful of people. Then you've got this 10-20, and then you've got this 24 and beyond. That's like the three kind of normal sizes where a gym will intentionally build the model around those numbers.
Okay. So
like an F45 has, or an Orange Theory, which are almost the exact same things basically. They have, they can handle 36 people in the room. They have 18 stations, or they have 3 lanes, and there's a dozen people at each one, or there's 2 to 3 people at a thing, and you rotate through.
Sure.
Well, that model is built around that number. And then you've got semi-private training and small group. Where this gets weird is semi-private training and like a traditional small group is where each person in that small group has an individualized plan. Right? Inside of the large group model, they're running off of a template or thing of the day. Okay. And then it's small group, semi-private. Traditionally, a semi-private is like if there's 6 people, those 6 people are doing 6 different workouts at the same time.
Okay.
And then you've got this middle ground of where like kind of where Prevail lives in this medium-sized group. So you have small group to where there's 10 people in the room, or it's a low attending session of 8, but they're all doing the same thing.
Okay.
Right? So that's weird. That's why when you get into like group fitness isn't equal. That's why you can't look at group fitness all from the same exact lens, because not only is it the amount of time from instructor to coach different, but what they're coaching is also going to be different. I was thinking about this from like, if you said a year from now, I want to learn a foreign language.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And you were to do a classroom environment to learn that language.
Okay.
You could either have a one-on-one coach to teach you.
Yes.
2 or 3 times a week to learn this language for a year. You could be in a room full of 8 people to learn, or you could be in a room full of 30 people to learn.
Okay.
Or you could be in a room full of 16 people to learn. Or you could be given all the information and you do it on yourself. Right? That's basically what fitness is. It's very similar.
Sure.
So you're learning a foreign language. Ideally, you're learning something to do, how to get to where you want to be, which if you replace foreign language with getting in shape, that's that same type of idea. So what do you value?
Sure.
That's the difference between those different models. And then inside of those models, you have what is getting delivered is going to be changing from group fitness to group strength to group template to, if you take the traditional semi-private small group and then you have an individualized plan, and it's like Bob's got a 4-week plan, Susie's got a 6-week plan. Over here, this other guy's got a different 4-week plan that's 100% different. This guy's got a different 8-week plan because he has all the different types of goals.
Yeah.
They're executing different things. So it's a high value, high touch point, highly individualized personal training. You're just doing it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, inside of that, instead of personal training, which is weird, people never really talk about the style of training and personal training.
Right.
People just say, I'm doing personal training. But if you say I'm doing group fitness, you automatically paint this picture of what group fitness is.
Yeah. Even though personal training could still be inside of a machine style gym, or it could be a studio space like we do, or it could be in a bigger, right.
So if you have delivery, we'll put this into delivery model would be the amount of people in the space with one instructor. Fitness model and delivery model are not the same things.
Right.
Because I can deliver training that is watered down, aerobic based, calorie burning specific to 2 people. But I could also do that to 30 people.
Yeah, but when you say watered down, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, let's take F45, Orange Theory. Not that those aren't great coaches, but they're generally considered, or a boot camp, right? They're generally considered cheerleaders.
Because they're just trying to keep
They're
motivation high, energy high.
Right. They're just, if you go to the Y or a Lifetime and there's kickboxing hit class, it's not their job to be highly skilled technicians and to go in and make sure that every single kick is a super technical kickboxing kick. Their job is to motivate the room, to get them to have energy, to have fun, and have a good time and get through the session.
Sure.
So when you say watered down, we mean watered down from the quality of one-to-one instruction is not the priority inside that hour. And it's going to be to where a less skilled coach can teach the same session as long as they have the great personality. Obviously, a better skilled coach and a better personality is going to make that even but it's not a requirement of high skill because the movements you're doing aren't as high skill.
Oh.
Right? So then if you take... And then you can kind of take the basics, and we'll use this from cardio versus strength.
Okay.
And we'll use something let's take the Orange Theory model, which is a heart rate based model.
Okay.
You could teach
heart rate based model. You're saying that the focus when they're in class is
heart rate
to watch the heart rate monitor and make sure that you're working hard enough via heart rate.
Right. You're staying in some zone.
Not really working hard enough on lifting a certain amount. It's more about keeping your heart rate elevated most of the time. Right.
Or specifically staying in certain zones at certain points.
Okay.
That could be delivered in a small group of 4 people. You could say, you 4 people are going to wear heart rate monitors. And so now I'm delivering 4 people and I'm delivering a fitness methodology. I can also do that with 40 people. Okay. But if you were to take something like traditional strength training, which the vast majority of personal training is traditional strength training because it's a high skill, high technical thing, right? So you want a person one-on-one to be no, move your feet over here. No, move your elbow over here. Think about this. Okay, change that over there. No, let's make an adjustment to the weight there. Let's modify the position for this. They're doing all these very tiny things to make that lifting session as safe and as effective as possible.
For you.
For the individual.
Right.
Hopefully that's a high quality personal training session.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you take the group model of that, that's where group fitness and group strength training are not the same thing. And now group strength training is something that's fairly new compared to the large, if you just say group fitness, you've got decades of this visual of group fitness, of this aerobic style.
I think about Zumba.
Zumba style
kickboxing
thing.
yeah
Right, this kind of like higher paced,
yeah,
high rep. You're doing
step
like
up things,
combo moves,
yeah.
and you're just doing a bunch of high like volume things.
Mm-hmm.
That's been around since like the early 80s. So now we're 80s, 90s, 2010s, 2020s. We're 40 years into professional. And we're 40 years into aerobics classes for group fitness. But really, with group strength training, what's the only other environment that we've had group strength training for a long time? Bum, bum, bum. Universities, weight rooms, professional, collegiate, or even some high school weight rooms have been group strength training where they say, hey, we're going to do these deadlifts, these presses, these bench press, this max squats. We're all going to do that together. So you're doing strength training in a group. That's only been around from like the strength and conditioning, strength world of like a university side.
Mm-hmm.
That really hasn't been around on the group side for a long time, for as long as like general aerobics is. Because if you think of something like CrossFit is a mix between the two intentionally. So you're going to have some elements that are like traditional strength training, and you're going to have some elements that are traditional conditioning, and then you're going to have like the CrossFit-y, Metcon-y, AMRAP-y part of that world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mix between having a like that they're delivering a model. Generally speaking, CrossFits are somewhere between 10 and 20 people, sometimes 24 people at some gyms, sometimes 30 people. Just you never really know depending on what that gym values as their like over under on people in the room, right? But then a traditional bodybuilding has rarely ever been done in a group environment of like, oh, let's do 4 sets of 12 bicep curls. Let's do 4 sets of 10 tricep extensions off these cables. That has not been something around for group for a long time. So when you're looking at group fitness versus group strength, that's where we start to like delineate between the two.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Where like one has intentional high rest times, one has intentional low rest times.
Mm-hmm.
And then one is like, oh, we're going to repeat workouts. One is we're never going to have the same workout. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between group fitness. So if you're to list group fitness, you've got usually at random, usually never repeated. You have more people in the room. You have less quality of instruction from a technical standpoint. Mm-hmm. You've got less weights, like less total, like, you know, you don't have 300-pound bars inside of a larger group format because the demand and so many things, right? You've got usually heart rate-based calorie burning things, so you're doing things intentionally only to burn calories. Mm-hmm. Now, you might be lifting weights while doing it, and we have another podcast talked about the difference between lifting weights and strength training. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, that's what you're imagining. You're imagining sweating, breathing hard from group fitness.
Yeah.
Group strength training is on the other end of that spectrum. Oh, I'm going to rest more than I work. Mm-hmm. I'm going to repeat workouts. I'm going to be using super heavy loads. I'm going to be, I'm going to be doing single pattern movements, or I'm going to be doing lifts that I can only do for like 4 to 5 repetitions and not 40 or 50 repetitions. Mm-hmm. And that's where group fitness is versus group strength training. And then you have culture, which is also going to be different because if you have a cheerleader intentionally trying to motivate 30 people to do as much work as possible from a quantity side,
sure,
way different than having an instructor on the room with 12 people in the room who's trying to get as much quality from every person doing some heavy intentional, some sort of lift or some sort of like hypertrophy based lift.
Right.
So it's going to feel completely different because it's different energy.
Right.
You don't have all the raw, cheerleady, loud, super loud type of like environment. So the culture of a group strength training and the culture of group fitness are not the same either.
Right.
That's going to be the big, do you think there's any other major differences between the two?
No.
Okay. It's been 14 minutes. She's zoning out, guys. She's already yawned 4 times. She's taken 4 calls.
I have not.
She's made a reel while we've been talking.
I have not touched my phone. Okay, you just wanted to talk about the difference between group fitness and group strength training. And we covered size.
Yep, size of room.
We covered style of like delivery, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the different, like, really the focuses from either an instructor standpoint or from like a student standpoint.
Right.
What else did you want to like talk about when we, I mean, do you want to talk about where like Prevail falls into that? Or
yeah, I mean, we can talk about where,
if you're not a Prevail student, then you might not know.
Yeah, we had a student earlier this week who was talking about, man, I wish there was like, more guys in the room. And traditionally, that's like a group model thing. Women are generally enjoy being in a group more than men.
Sure.
Men generally like to be alone more than women. Like, that's just kind of a, general. That's nothing good or bad. It's just so most group model fitness is a little more tailored to a woman because women just enjoy groups more.
Sure.
Right.
We like the social aspect and
like basically the social side of it.
And the like appointment based.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. A time.
Right.
Check out.
Right. And not that, I mean, we have like a 60-40 split at Prevail, and that's never been intentional. We've never marketed one way or the other. We've always just said, come here to get stronger.
Yes.
And fitter and all those things. And that's, I think, where the difference between group fitness and group strength is that CrossFit has never really had a huge struggle getting men into it because you're doing some like heavy lifting. You're throwing down. That piece of that environment.
Yes. Heavy barbells.
Which has been kind of intimidating for generally some women think that the CrossFit environment is too intimidating.
Right.
Generally. But it is a group environment, so it's also inviting at the same time.
Yes. Very community based.
Right. Very, very community based.
But with their competitive side of it, it can come across as a little like intense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you look at like just the words, it's constantly very intense.
Yeah.
It's part of their system. And I think when you're looking at what the evolution of where group strength training is going, and you're going to see that more and more and more, like F45 adding racks to their system, like you're going to see that there's this middle ground, this melding of these 2-3 worlds of like, oh, I don't have to do it by myself, and to do it in a group, I don't have to do what is traditionally thought as group fitness.
Right.
I don't have to do the jumpy stuff. I don't have to do the raw. I don't have to do all the big energy, cliche fitness things. There's environments and there's gyms now that are getting super smart about structured strength training.
Yeah.
Happen to be off of a template inside of a room with other people.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference between where some of us are going in that direction. Prevail's in that direction for a long time. We kind of drew a line in the sand years ago about this burpee sober, like we're going to do strength training, and we've gotten even deeper and deeper and deeper into that.
Yeah, and Prevail's been following progressive overload programming for 8 years now.
8 years. That's probably going to be
as a group.
Yeah, that's probably going to be one of the biggest differentiators between Prevail and a lot of other group fitness and group strength training. Is the word strength is everywhere.
Where everyone wants the strength right now, which is great that it's becoming popular.
Yeah, it's awesome. But if you go to like Rumble Boxing, they're going to have boxing element and they're going to have a strength element. But the strength part isn't progressive overload. You're not highly individualized. You're not, it's generally just dumbbells, which you can get great workouts with dumbbells. We have super heavy dumbbells, right?
Yeah.
But it's not built with progressive overload and programming to intentionally get you stronger. It's built that if you're doing nothing and you come in, you're going to get moderately stronger, but not in a long term.
Yeah.
Not years on years on years on years. You're not going to continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And at Prevail, we make sure that we have progressive overload to where we are intentionally repeating workouts on purpose so that there's progressive overload.
Yeah.
We're going through volumes of training to where things get harder.
Yeah. Well, just like a lady comes in this week and has been doing a body pump for years, and she's like, well, we're picking up weights in there, but I'm not actually getting any stronger now because there are limitations if you can't progressive overload it, if you can't spend time going heavier. Right,
because body pump is a system where you're doing 30, 50, 70, 100 reps of a certain weight, and you can only move so much weight so much.
Yeah.
So if you've been picking up a 40-pound bar for 80 repetitions, once you've done that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, there's no more adaptations. So until you can pick up a 50-pound bar, you're never going to see a change in your muscle and your strength. you're going to be crossing off the checklist of like, I'm moving through space.
Yeah.
But if there's never something inside that system to say, oh no, we want you to get beyond this 40-pound bar.
Yeah.
We want you to pick up heavier. We want you to
Mm-hmm.
rest more. We want you to have to like challenge your mobility, challenge your positions, challenge your skill of a strength.
Yeah.
That's not what that environment's for.
Yeah.
So of course you're not going to get stronger.
Yeah. I mean, you talking about too, like, just the picture. I mean, when you say a group class, if we're like out of town somewhere, like we usually do a pretty good deep dive, because even my first thought on like group class is like, you're just doing a bunch of just like randomness, you know, like, I mean, we did drop into a group class in Denver in February, and we did like star jumps and, you know, a bunch of randomness, but it said it was like a heavy strength class that morning that we signed up for. So
yeah. And it was heavier than their other stuff.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, we've dropped into dozens of gyms, dozens of like regular gyms, group model gyms,
all sorts of stuff.
And we've been to 6 people classes. We've been to 60 people. We've been to 16. We've been to all sorts of stuff. And you never really know. But their version of heavy was like, oh, we have in that Denver one, right? Which was a great instructor, great facility.
So nice.
It was, they did a great job. And that was their heavy day. And they had, I think they had 8 patterns for that day, and of those 8 patterns, 2 of them were traditionally heavy, but they were paired or they were bookended with high intensity aerobic things. So there was a couple things heavier, but the entire day you're like, well, I was really just like managing my heart rate the entire 45 minutes, and yes, I picked up some heavy weights, but if they would have been like, no, we're not going to do any cardio, we're only going to work on these 7 patterns that are only going to be heavy, I'm like, oh, that's like a traditional heavy lifting thing. And I think that's also something that separates Prevail, is that we have days of the week where someone will come in 2 days a week of 2 of the styles, where there's one day where it's lifting heavy, no cardio
at all,
none, right? There's another day where it's bodybuilding style repetitions, no cardio
at all,
0. And a lot of like what say group strength training is, if you're doing cardio and lifting at the exact same session all the time, nothing wrong with that necessarily, but that's the difference of saying, no, we're doing group strength training, like literally the next 60 minutes, we're only going to be working on strength, nothing else. There'll be another day where we're going to do a mix and match, a hybrid day, we're going to do some conditioning elements. And if you look at like CrossFit, generally speaking, is like a lifting thing, a cardio thing, because it's like a well-balanced, that's their goal. And that's different than saying like group fitness, to where they're like, oh, well, we're going to be doing cardio, but we're going to have weights in our hands.
Right. Yeah. Or like in between everything that I'm lifting, I'm going to do like jumping jacks to keep my heart rate up, or jumping rope or something. Like that's not what we're talking about at all. Right.
So really for you guys, for those that are listening, when you're thinking about when you're either looking for a gym or you're speaking to other people about gyms, what we want is, we just want to make sure people aren't thinking that all group fitness is the same.
Right.
There's a huge spectrum of what group fitness is and what we call group strength training, and it's not the same. Right? You go to a what's that boot camp? The all girls boot camp, the Blush boot camp, the
I don't know.
The blue one down the street.
Burn
boot camp. You go to Burn boot camp, right?
I don't know if that's all women. Is it?
Oh, maybe not.
I don't know.
Oh, well.
Blush is for sure.
Yeah. So if you go to if you go to one of those places, you go to a Burn boot camp, that's not the same experience you're going to have at a CrossFit.
No.
And if you take that and you go into an F45, that's not the same experience as either one of those.
No. And body pump would be way different than CrossFit.
And body pump would be way different than CrossFit.
Yeah.
Prevail would be way different than CrossFit.
Yeah.
Even though the room looks very similar.
Yeah.
But what you're getting from that 2 sides of like, how is it getting delivered from a sense of like instructor to member count, and then what is getting delivered and what's the intention behind that delivery. Huge spectrum, and it's not all the same.
No.
Big differences. And there's also not necessarily anything we're clear that one isn't better than all the other ones. You can't say, well, which one's the best? You're like, well, it kind of depends what you want.
Yeah, what your goal is. And
right. What's your 60-minute goal? What's your 60-day goal? What's your 60-year goal? All that's going to be different depending on that type of environment that you get into.
Yeah, because like I love lifting heavy, but if I wanted to intentionally add in like a high cardio based like only class, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go do kickboxing, that would just be a supplement to my lifting heavy. It wouldn't take over my kickboxing strength class or whatever it is,
Right. Exactly. There you go. So I guess
is that all you have?
I mean, I can keep going on, but that's the basics we just wanted to go over. Is like, there's a difference between group fitness and group strength. And not all group environments are created the same, and not all group models are the same.
Right.
Huge variations. We used like the pizza analogy before.
Yeah.
It's all pizza, but you cannot say that a Neapolitan style, like wood-fired, margarita pizza from Naples, Italy, you can't put that same pizza against a Little Caesars pizza.
Right. It's just way different.
Way different. And you also can't put, like, if you take a New York style pizza, you can't put that against the Chicago style pizza.
Right.
Way different. Even though they're both high quality, they're both good, it's not the same thing. So it's inappropriate to say, well, all pizza's the same.
Right.
Group fitness isn't all the same either.
Yeah.
So you need to go and have lots of pizza.
Try it out.
You need to go, oh, do I really want pizza? Is that part of my goal? And then I think the last thing what's the one thing that all group fitness is great for? What's the benefit behind group?
Well, I mean, I think like accountability is a big one.
Accountability, because it's like a mix between accountability and flexibility.
Yeah, and I say accountability because you can make appointments throughout your week on a set place to be, and you're not relying on yourself to like go into that gym and there's a plan there. There's somebody there to lead you through a plan for you to do something in those 60 minutes.
Yeah, so that's big, because you can have a gym membership, but then you're responsible for showing up at a specific time, getting a specific thing done, staying on pace, getting the goal that day done, leaving on time.
Yes.
All those things.
And that can be really hard when you have 9 million other things happening.
Super hard. So group models are great for that, because you have a specific time and then someone's telling you, you're going to do this next, we're going to do that next. They may not be holding your hand to like literally like go grab the 8-pound dumbbell, do 15 reps. But they're definitely going to be like, hey, we're going to work on these next 2 patterns for the next 12 minutes. Execute. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of accountability.
Yeah. I mean, I get a way better
for sure
session when I join our group rather than when I do it on my own and we have keys to the place. So
yeah, right. And then the other benefit is that you are doing it with other people. Yeah, that's a benefit. So if you're doing it with 6 people, or if you're doing it with 16 people or 26 people, there's value in doing it with other people because there's more energy. For sure. You're going to get a better workout when you're doing it with other people. Yes. Even if it's like a random time that like you and I and like 4 instructors work out at the same time, the 6 of us working out is a way better workout than just us 2 by ourselves. Yes. 100%. Yes. So being in a group is valuable. So for a lot of those bros who like don't want to do a group.
He said bros. Right. Yeah. I have to say this, because if any bros are listening and they're on the fence about a group strength training class and you are in Edmond, we have guys who have been with us for years. And because we do focus on progressive overload and programming, they're still making strength and muscle gains every quarter, every time we do a reassessment. We have male students and female students, but we have male students. I mean, you follow the programming.
Yeah, who have like consistently gotten stronger year after year after year, and they've gotten to a base level of strength with like some pretty cool numbers, some pretty great standards of strength. Yeah, and they haven't lost them. Like they've maintained this like high level of strength.
Yeah, it's not just like a one-time PR that you hit, like 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there you go. That's the difference between group fitness and group strength, and why a group model may be really good for you. The first thing, I think the best thing you can do is if you were to take these steps and you're like, I've never done group, or I've done group before and I have these misconceptions or myths about it, start creeping on gyms. Go to their websites, go to their Instagrams and look at the last, 20 to 30 images. And you're going to be like, oh, okay, I can kind of like sense a feel for the place or the type of person or the type of things they're doing. And then the next thing is reach out to that place to either schedule a consultation or schedule a shadow or schedule the ability to see a session happening. Yeah. And then depending on the model, they may or may not have some sort of trial offer of like, you know, a free week or a 3 for $343 or 5 for $5 or whatever that is. And yeah. So that's going to be, just push it again, I guess. Oh, jeez. Yeah. There we go. I want to wrap this up. Is just explore it and then get in there, watch it happen. If you can't do a trial, buy a trial or buy a drop-in, or, you know, if you have someone that's done it before, ask if you can come in with them and then get a feel for it and experience it and be like, oh. And then I think the other thing is you got to go more than one time.
Oh, for sure.
I would not base any single model off of one single visit. I would definitely want to get at least like, I would think that 3 good sessions in over a week or 2, and then you can go, okay, I got a really good idea of like what this is going to feel like week in, month out, month in, month out. And like, oh, I could see myself here, or I could not see myself here.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard even for 2 to 3 sessions to really know, because if you're getting the feel for the room or how heavy you can go, like you could, like most of the time you challenge yourself way more after you've been somewhere for like a month, because you're, you know, so aware.
Yeah. That would be the second best thing, is to like, I get 2 or 3 sessions in. I'm like, all right, let me give this a go. And then trying to figure out if there's some other sort of package of either like, you know, 6 weeks or 3 months or 6 months or a year, whatever that is, that you can go, okay, there's got to be another, like,
I'm going to dig in.
I need to like really experience this and give myself some time to figure out if this is going to be something that I can enjoy myself doing 2, 3, 4 times a week. Yeah. And if it's something that I would like to do, or something I would like to supplement with something else that I'm already doing.
For sure.
There we go. Group fitness versus group strength. So if you're on YouTube, comment below if you have individual opinions about that. Yeah. If we think we're on track, if we're off base, you can say that too. And then like, share, subscribe. Go to Danny_Prevail and you can give your opinion to her there.
I would love to hear it.
If you think that we're wrong, tell us. If you think we're right, tell us. And then if there's any specific topic that you would like us to talk about, dive into, please let us know.
Please send them to me.
And then we'll chit-chat.
Because somebody suggested feet this week.
Which would be a pretty short podcast.
Okay.
There you go.
Bye.